There's something many people don't realize about diabetes. It's not just about blood sugar. It's about what that sugar is doing to your nerves, your eyes, your kidneys, your circulation, day after day, silently. And here's the surprising part. Most diabetic complications aren't caused by high sugar alone. They're caused by what high sugar blocks. It blocks nutrient absorption. It creates deficiencies. And those deficiencies quietly dismantle your healing systems from the inside out. You might have been told diabetes is a progressive condition, that the complications are inevitable. But what if I told you your body is still trying to heal? Even now, your nerves, your blood vessels, your cells, they haven't given up. They're just undernourished. And when you give them the right nutritional building blocks, many of those complications can slow down, even reverse. That's not hype. That's basic human physiology. Now, why does this matter, especially as we age? Because the older we get, the less efficient our digestion becomes. Stomach acid declines, enzymes drop, and our ability to extract nutrients from food can fall by nearly half. Add insulin resistance on top of that, and the body's nutrient highway, the very way cells receive their tools for healing, gets jammed. So if you're over 50, diabetic or pre-diabetic, and you're noticing things like tingling in the feet, brain fog, slower wound healing, or even vision changes, your body is likely starving for a handful of key vitamins. But not just any vitamins. I'm talking about 7 specific nutrients, often depleted in people with insulin resistance, that play direct roles in healing nerves, protecting blood vessels, improving insulin sensitivity, and preventing some of the most feared diabetic outcomes. These are vitamins that most seniors don't get enough of in their diet. And even when they try to supplement, they often take them at the wrong time, in the wrong form, or in isolation, missing the synergistic effect the body needs to truly absorb and use them. We'll explore each of these vitamins in depth. You'll learn how they work, how to get them from food, and when supplementation might be wise. You'll also learn simple strategies, like combining certain nutrients with healthy fats to boost absorption, timing certain supplements with your first meal after fasting to make sure your cells actually receive what you're giving them. We'll talk about how vitamin B1 protects nerves from sugar damage, how vitamin D reduces insulin resistance, and why magnesium can be a diabetic's best friend, but only if it's in the right form. I'll also show you how one fat-soluble vitamin can protect your eyes and kidneys from oxidative stress, and how a common vitamin deficiency silently increases your risk of peripheral neuropathy. And the best part, these tools aren't extreme, they're not expensive, and they don't ask you to fight your body, just to understand it. So if you care about sleeping deeper, healing faster, and aging with energy, make sure to watch until the end, and subscribe so you don't miss the natural wisdom your body is craving. Vitamin B1's thiamine, the nerve protector. One of the first signs of diabetic damage is something you can feel: numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet. It often starts subtly, like walking on sand or having socks on when you don't. But what's happening inside your body is far more complex. The sugar isn't just sitting in your blood, it's interfering with how your nerves generate energy, how they stay insulated, and how they recover from wear and tear. And much of that damage is tied to a single, often overlooked vitamin: thiamine. Vitamin B1, also called thiamine, is essential for converting glucose into usable energy inside your cells. It's like the ignition key for your cell's engine. Without enough thiamine, your body can't properly metabolize carbohydrates. Instead of clean, burning energy, glucose begins to ferment in your tissues, generating toxic byproducts like advanced glycation end products AGEs and sorbitol. These compounds damage the nerves from the inside, especially the tiny, delicate ones in your extremities and eyes. What makes this worse for people with diabetes is that thiamine is water-soluble, and high blood sugar increases how much is lost in urine. So the very condition that demands more B1 also depletes it faster. It's a vicious cycle. But here's the empowering part. Replenishing B1, especially in the right form, can dramatically reduce nerve pain and even promote healing. Now, not all forms of thiamine are equal. The typical B1 you find in multivitamins is poorly absorbed, especially as we age. But a fat-soluble form called benfotiamine is different. It's absorbed much more efficiently and has been studied specifically for diabetic neuropathy. In several clinical trials, benfotiamine significantly reduced nerve pain, improved nerve conduction, and lowered markers of oxidative stress in people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. This isn't a drug, it's simply providing your body with a tool it's been missing. Here's how you can use this information. If you're experiencing signs of neuropathy, tingling, burning, or numbness, talk to your provider about adding benfotiamine to your routine. The most studied doses are between 150 to 300 mg daily, often split into 2 servings with meals. You can also support natural thiamine levels through food. Sunflower seeds, asparagus, and pasture-raised pork are decent sources, but food alone may not be enough if you're already depleted or over 60. You can amplify the effects by combining B1 with other nerve-supportive nutrients like B6 and B12. These work synergistically in what's called the nerve regeneration triad. And if you're doing intermittent fasting, which many of our viewers are, you'll want to take your B1 with your first meal, not on an empty stomach, to avoid any nausea and ensure proper absorption. If this is helping you see your health differently, if it's making sense of symptoms you've been living with, tap the like button. It helps us reach more people who are ready to heal naturally. So what you're seeing here isn't magic, it's physiology. Your body is trying to repair damaged nerves, but it can't do it without the right raw materials. Vitamin B1 is one of the first it asks for, and when you give your body what it's been asking for, quietly for months or years, it doesn't just survive, it begins to rebuild. Subscribe if you're learning something new, because there's more natural healing wisdom to come. Vitamin B1 toisin, the methylation and nerve repair vitamin. There's something curious about nerve damage. It doesn't always hurt. Sometimes it just creates silence, a kind of numbness, a fading of sensation, especially in the feet and hands. Many people think this is just aging. But it's not. Often, it's the slow unraveling of the myelin sheath, the protective covering around your nerves. And one of the most important vitamins your body uses to rebuild that sheath is vitamin B12. B12 is more than a vitamin. It's a cofactor in some of your body's most essential repair systems. It helps maintain nerve insulation, supports red blood cell production, and fuels something called methylation, a detox in DNA, regulating process that turns genes on and off, clears homocysteine from the blood, and allows damaged tissue to rebuild properly in a healthy digestive system. B12 is absorbed through a complex sequence that involves stomach acid, intrinsic factor, and receptors in the small intestine. But here's the problem: as we age, our stomach acid drops. Up to 30% of older adults produce too little hydrochloric acid to activate B12 absorption. And if you're taking metformin, the most common diabetes medication, your B12 levels may be falling even faster, because metformin blocks B12 absorption at the intestinal level. This leads to a slow, silent depletion of a vitamin your nervous system depends on. And because B12 deficiency can mimic neuropathy, dementia, even depression, it's often missed or misdiagnosed. But again, the body is asking for help, not shutting down. And you don't need to force anything. You just need to give it what it's missing. When it comes to replenishing B12, form matters. Cyanocobalamin, the synthetic version found in most multivitamins, is poorly utilized. Your body has to convert it several times before it becomes active. A better choice is methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin. These are the biologically active forms. And because digestion is often compromised in older adults, sublingual ALs under the tongue give delivery bypasses the gut entirely, going straight into the bloodstream. In terms of timing, B12 is best taken in the morning. It's energizing and can slightly stimulate the nervous system. If you're doing intermittent fasting, take it with your first meal or on its own with water. It won't break a fast, but will support neurological energy throughout the day. If you've been feeling unusually tired, mentally foggy, off balance, or if your hands and feet just don't feel right, it's worth exploring B12 levels. Even borderline deficiencies can cause symptoms, especially when paired with low folate or high homocysteine, which is common in people with insulin resistance. Many functional doctor for B1 levels above 500 tg/ml, not just within the normal range. Now here's something fascinating. Studies show that when B12 is restored, especially in combination with B6 and folate, nerve damage can not only stabilize, it can reverse. That's because B12 doesn't just patch things up, it supports the body's ability to remake the materials that insulate nerves and protect brain tissue. You don't need to fight your body, just understand it. And B12 is a clear example of this. Your system isn't failing, it's trying, but it's asking for tools it no longer has access to. If this resonates, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this kind of natural healing wisdom matters, and helps it reach more people like you who are ready to take charge of their health. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. We're just getting started, and the next vitamin may be the one your body's been waiting for. Vitamin D3, the inflammation regulator. If there's one silent thread that connects nearly every diabetic complication, from vision loss to kidney damage to heart disease, it's chronic inflammation. And yet, its inflammation isn't the enemy body's repair signal. It only becomes harmful when it never turns off, when the switch gets stuck in the on position. And one of the most powerful natural regulators of that switch is vitamin D3. Most people know vitamin D for its role in bone health, but its true superpower lies in its influence over more than 2,000 genes, especially those related to your immune system and metabolic health. Think of vitamin D as the conductor of your body's immune orchestra, keeping the inflammatory instruments in tune, so the music doesn't become chaotic and destructive. In type 2 diabetes, the immune system is often in a constant, low-grade battle, attacking blood vessel linings, damaging pancreatic cells, and creating oxidative stress that quietly ages the body from the inside. Vitamin D3 helps calm this storm. It tells the immune system when to act and when to stand down. Without enough D3, the body loses its self-regulating ability. Inflammation becomes chronic, healing slows, and blood sugar control becomes more difficult. What's even more important for seniors is that the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight decreases with age. A younger person might make 20,000 IU from just 30 minutes of midday sun. But at 70 years old, which means you might make only a fraction of that even with the same exposure. Add in limited outdoor time, sunscreen, and latitude, and deficiency becomes almost inevitable. Research shows that people with lower vitamin D levels tend to have higher blood sugar, more insulin insulin resistance and worse outcomes with diabetic complications. In one study published in Diabetes Care, higher D levels were linked to significantly lower A1C, independent of diet or weight. Another study showed that vitamin D supplementation improves insulin sensitivity in people with prediabetes, reducing their risk of progressing to full-blown diabetes. So how do you get enough? First, get tested. The normal lab range often goes as low as 30 ng/ml, but most functional health experts recommend aiming for 50 to 80 for optimal metabolic and immune support. If you're low, daily supplementation with D3, usually in the range of 1,000 to 1,000 IU, is a safe and effective place to start. Just remember, vitamin D is fat-soluble, so take it with a meal that contains healthy fats, like avocado, olive oil, or pastured eggs, for best absorption. And here's a crucial synergy: always pair D3 with vitamin K2. These two work like partners. D3 increases calcium absorption, but K2 tells calcium where to go: into your bones and teeth, not your arteries. This is especially important for diabetics who are more prone to vascular calcification and stiff arteries. We'll go deeper into K2 in the next section. You can also enhance your natural D levels with smart sun exposure, 10 to 20 minutes of midday sunlight on bare skin, a few times per week when possible. But again, age, skin tone, and geography matter. Supplementation becomes essential for most older adults, especially in the winter or for those managing chronic illness. If this is helping you see how inflammation connects to your energy, your recovery, even your blood sugar, tap the like button. These are the conversations many people aren't hearing from their doctors. Your body doesn't want to stay inflamed. It's just lacking the signal to cool down. Vitamin D3 is that signal. When you restore it, the body remembers how to regulate, how to rest, and how to heal. Subscribe if you haven't already. Because up next, we'll talk about a nutrient that quietly controls how your cells use sugar, relax your vessels, and restore your calming: magnesium. Magnesium, the glucose gatekeeper. When most people think about magnesium, they might picture muscle cramps or constipation remedies. But inside your body, magnesium does something far more profound. It acts as a biological gatekeeper, especially when it comes to how your cells use insulin and manage glucose. Every time insulin knocks on the door of a cell, magnesium is standing nearby, helping that door open. Without enough magnesium, insulin can't do its job properly. It's like having the key to the lock, but enough oil in the mechanism. The door sticks, blood sugar builds up, and the early stages of insulin resistance begin. Now here's the deeper layering. Magnesium is required for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. Many of those reactions control nerve function, heartbeat rhythm, vascular tone, and glucose metabolism. Yet nearly 70% of adults over 50 are magnesium deficient. And it's even more common in people with type 2 diabetes. Why? Because high blood sugar increases urinary magnesium loss. The more glucose you excrete, the more magnesium you lose. It becomes a cycle. The more deficient you are, the worse insulin performs, and the more magnesium you lose. But your body is not broken. It's just running low on a mineral that's essential for its self-regulation. Magnesium deficiency often hides behind everyday symptoms: muscle tightness, anxiety, poor sleep, restless legs, headaches, irregular heartbeat, and fatigue. These aren't just random aging problems. They're signals. Your body is whispering before it screams. Now here's the hopeful part: restoring magnesium slowly, steadily, can in the right form calm the nervous system, relax the blood vessels, and restore insulin sensitivity. Several studies have shown that magnesium supplementation improves fasting blood glucose, reduces A1C, and lowers systemic inflammation in people with metabolic syndrome and diabetes. The key is form and timing. The cheapest versions, magnesium oxide or sulfate, are poorly absorbed and tend to stay in the gut. Better options include magnesium glycinate, calming, gentle on digestion; magnesium citrate, mildly laxative, helpful for constipation; and magnesium threonate, which crosses the blood-brain barrier and may support cognitive clarity. Many people do well with a combination, depending on their needs. For diabetics, magnesium glycinate is often ideal. It supports insulin signaling and helps regulate nighttime blood pressure, which tends to spike in metabolic disorders. A gentle evening dose, 200 to 400 mg about an hour before bed, can also deepen sleep and relax tight muscles, allowing the nervous system to reset. If you're doing intermittent fasting, magnesium won't break your fast and can be taken on an empty stomach, but some people tolerate it better with a small amount of food. And for food-based sources, think deep green and rich in soil. Pumpkin seeds, spinach, almonds, and wild-caught fish are all magnesium-rich, but modern soil depletion makes it hard to get enough from diet alone. One final note: magnesium doesn't work alone. It works best with vitamin B6, which helps it enter cells more efficiently. Some combination formulas offer both. And if you're taking vitamin D, remember D increases calcium absorption. Magnesium helps keep calcium in check, preventing muscle spasms, calcification, and overstimulation of nerves. If this is opening your eyes to how interconnected your body is, give this video a like and take a deep breath, because magnesium is the mineral of calm. When you're hungry, when your body has enough, it relaxes, your heartbeat steadies, your thoughts clear, and your cells begin to listen to insulin again. You don't need to overpower your blood sugar, which means you just need to nourish the system that's already trying to balance it. Subscribe if you're learning something new, because next we'll explore a vitamin that tells calcium exactly where to go. It's one of the most overlooked keys to preventing diabetic vascular damage. which means vitamin Kg, the vascular calcium, is essential, but it's also dangerous when it's in the wrong place. You want it in your bones and your teeth, strengthening your structure. But you don't want it lining your arteries, stiffening your blood vessels, or building up in your kidneys. And here's the critical truth on people with diabetes are far more likely to suffer from this kind of misplaced calcium, called vascular calcification. It's one of the major contributors to heart disease, strokes, and kidney damage in type 2 diabetes. But there's a natural compound that helps prevent this. It's called vitamin K2. Most people have heard of vitamin K, but they confuse K1 with K2. K1 is found in leafy greens and helps with blood clotting. K2, however, is something else entirely. It activates two key proteins, acetylcholine and matrix GLA protein, that act like traffic controllers for calcium. They tell calcium to stay out of the arteries and go into the bones. Without enough K2, calcium travels without guidance and begins to harden the very vessels meant to carry life-giving blood to your brain, heart, and legs. Now here's what matters for diabetics. High blood sugar damages the lining of blood vessels. It also increases oxidative stress. This makes the vessels more vulnerable to calcium buildup. Over time, arteries lose their flexibility, blood pressure rises, which means circulation to the kidneys, eyes, and lower extremities declines. And this doesn't happen suddenly. It's slow and silent. But if K2 is present, it helps reverse this process, activates those calcium-clearing proteins, and supports the elasticity of the vascular system. The most studied form of K2 is MK7, a longer-acting version that stays in the body up to 3 days and offers continuous support for calcium regulation. Clinical research has shown that MK7 can reduce arterial stiffness, improve bone density, and lower the risk of cardiovascular complications in aging adults, especially those with insulin resistance. And here's the beautiful synergy: K2 works best when paired with vitamin D3. D3 increases calcium absorption from the gut. K2 makes sure that calcium gets deposited in the right places. Without K2, high doses of D3 can lead to calcium floating freely in the bloodstream, which may increase the risk of calcification. This is why they're best taken together, in balance, not isolation. Most people are deficient in K2 because it's not found in most Western diets. It's rich in fermented foods like natto, a traditional Japanese dish made from fermented soybeans, as well as certain cheeses and pastured animal products. But realistically, few people eat enough of these to maintain optimal levels, especially older adults with reduced digestive capacity. That's where supplementation with 1,200 mg MK7 daily can be an effective, safe way to support vascular health. If you're already on a blood thinner, especially warfarin, talk to your doctor before starting K2. It can interact with medications that affect clotting. But if you're not on those medications, K2 can be a quiet protector, keeping your arteries supple, your circulation strong, and your risk of diabetic heart disease lower. If this is helping you connect the dots between circulation, blood sugar, and real aging prevention, tap the like button. These insights matter more than most people realize. Your body doesn't want to calcify. It's not trying to age faster. It's trying to redirect its minerals, preserve its vessels, and keep blood flowing where it needs to go. Vitamin K2 is one of the tools it uses to do that. And when you give your body back that tool, it responds, often more quickly than you think. Subscribe if this is helping you rethink what healthy aging really looks like. Because next, we're diving into a unique antioxidant that has the power to reverse nerve damage, lower blood sugar, and regenerate your cells from the inside out. Alpha-lipoic acid, the cellular repair antioxidant. There's a reason diabetic complications tend to show up in the smallest, most delicate parts of the body. Your fingertips, your toes, your eyes, and kidneys. It's not just about blood sugar. It's about what sugar does when it lingers. It creates oxidative stress, a form of internal rusting that slowly wears down your nerves, capillaries, and mitochondria. But inside every one of your cells, there's a compound designed to fight back. It's called alpha-lipoic acid, or ALA. ALA isn't technically a vitamin. It's a powerful vitamin-like antioxidant your body makes in small amounts. But in people with diabetes, that production isn't enough to keep up with the damage. What makes ALA unique is that it's both fat-soluble and water-soluble. That means it can move freely through every part of the cell, clearing oxidative stress in areas that most antioxidants can't reach. It also regenerates other antioxidants like vitamin C and E, restoring their power even after they've been used up. But the most exciting research on ALA is its effect on diabetic neuropathy, the burning, tingling, or numbness that so many people with diabetes silently live with. Multiple clinical studies, including a landmark one called the SRIDNY trial, have shown that ALA can significantly reduce pain and improve nerve function, not over months, sometimes in just a few weeks. That's because ALA doesn't just block damage. It actively restores mitochondrial function, the part of the cell responsible for creating energy. When your mitochondria are working properly, nerves can heal, muscles can contract smoothly, vision sharpens, and blood sugar control improves. That's right, ALA also increases glucose uptake into cells, especially muscle cells, improving insulin sensitivity without forcing the pancreas to work harder. Here's how to use it effectively. The most studied dose for diabetic nerve health is 600 mg per day, usually taken on an empty stomach, about 30 minutes before breakfast. Some people divide the dose into two, 300 mg in the morning and 300 in the afternoon, for more consistent benefits throughout the day. If you're practicing intermittent fasting, ALA fits beautifully into a fasted state. It won't break your fast and may even enhance fat oxidation while protecting cells from oxidative damage. There's also a stabilized form called alpha-lipoic acid, which is more bioavailable than the standard synthetic version known as racemic AL. While it tends to be more expensive, some people find better resorts using the R form, particularly for neuropathy and glucose control. Like every other compounds, ALA works best as part of a system, not a solo fix. When you combine it with magnesium, B vitamins, and antioxidant-rich foods, you create a nutrient environment that supports full body repair. And when you stack that with movement, deep sleep, and mindful eating windows, the healing becomes even more profound. This is how your body was designed to function, not to break down, not to degenerate, but to repair, restore, and adapt if it has the right conditions. If you're starting to see your symptoms differently now, not as random or irreversible, but as signals from a body that still wants to heal, tap the like button. These small actions ripple out and help others find this message too. Alpha-lipoic acid is not a silver bullet, but it is a spark for mitochondrial energy, for nerve regeneration, and for cellular resilience. And in the context of diabetes and aging, that spark may be exactly what your body's been missing. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Because next, which means we're going to bring it all together so you can take action, feel hope, and start healing with intention. Here's the conclusion. Bringing it all together, by now, you've probably started to notice the themes. Every one of these vitamins, B1, B12, D3, K2, magnesium, alpha-lipoic acid, and vitamin C, plays a distinct role in the diabetic body, but none of them work in isolation. Healing doesn't happen in isolated systems. It happens in networks, in rhythms, in deeply interconnected biological processes that your body has been fine-tuning for decades. And the beautiful part, your body hasn't forgotten how to heal. It just needs the missing pieces. Let's step back for a moment. Think about what diabetic complications really are: a breakdown in communication between systems. Nerves lose sensitivity, blood vessels stiffen, kidneys become overwhelmed, eyesight fades. But all of that begins at the microscopic level with damaged mitochondria, impaired nutrient transport, and chronic inflammation. You don't have to attack those symptoms with more medications. You don't have to fear every new sensation in your legs or every dip in your energy. Instead, you can support your body's repair systems with precision, with intention, and with deep respect for how your biology works. Let's recap briefly, not as a checklist, but as a map of what your body is asking for. Vitamin B1 gives your nerves the energy to resist sugar damage. Vitamin B12 lowers insulation and methylation, keeping your nervous system sharp. Vitamin D3 tells your immune system when to rest and helps lower systemic inflammation. Magnesium helps cells unlock sugar and fuels over 300 repair enzymes. Vitamin K2 guides calcium out of your arteries and into your bones, protecting circulation. Alpha-lipoic acid energizes your mitochondria, pairs oxidative damage, and improves nerve pain. And vitamin C, which we'll touch on more in future episodes, strengthens capillaries, boosts healing, and helps neutralize the very stress that sugar creates. These aren't miracle pills. They're nutrients, tools your body is already familiar with. Most of them used to come from food, sunlight, soil, and balance. But modern life and modern medicine has left many people deficient, especially as they age. So what can you do today? Not just learn, but act. Here's a gentle, natural health challenge to begin with tonight. With your evening meal, take one small step. Choose a magnesium-rich food, maybe a handful of pumpkin seeds or sauteed spinach in olive oil. If you have a D3, K2 supplement, take it with that meal. If you're trying benfotiamine or ALA, take your first dose tomorrow morning on an empty stomach. And if you haven't had your B12 levels tested recently, add that to your list. You deserve to know what your nervous system is working with. Small steps. That's how you build a healing rhythm. And the body responds, because it's always trying to return to balance. As you make these changes, pay attention to how you feel, not just your blood sugar numbers, but your energy, your clarity, your mood, your feet. Healing often begins in the quiet moments, when you realize the numbness has faded slightly, or you wake up with a bit more calm in your mind and strength in your legs. If you found this helpful, let us know in the comments. What will you try first? Which means, what's been missing from your routine that your body may be asking for? And if you haven't already, subscribe and join us on this journey of natural healing and healthy aging. This is more than a channel. It's a movement back toward trusting the body, understanding its signals, and living with vitality well into your later years. Because your body is ready. You just need to give it what it needs.